Hello and welcome to the September Tarot forecast, where I am going to lay out what to expect for the 12 different zodiac energies, or like the 12 different houses of the zodiac. So I am not good at really, like I keep saying to everybody, I have Mercury in Aries, so I don't really know how to be polite or kind or patient with people, especially when I'm talking. Uh, and so like copywriting, caption writing, doing intros and outros for these videos have been a real struggle. And I know for some reason, especially on Reddit, like using AI to assist with your readings is like super frowned upon for whatever reason. And there's even this one guy calling them scammers, and I'm like, girl, my readings have way too many typos for any AI to be writing it, okay? I try to actually use AI to correct my spelling a lot of the times and things like that. But I've been using AI to do like my caption writing, to generate images for Instagram, and I just feel this enormous weight lifted off of my shoulders and like I'm a beautiful new person. Okay, so I actually have an intro that AI wrote for me and I kind of love it, but it's gonna really sound like I'm reading off of a script because I am. And I also have an outro that it wrote for me too, so that maybe I can get in the habit of saying this. So we're gonna practice together before I start this September tarot forecast. So it says, this is my intro, cue intro. Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm Micah, your tarot reader with Tarot with Bay. Today we're diving into the mystical world of tarot to uncover the insights and guidance from the cards that you have. Whether you're seeking clarity in love, career, personal growth, let's embark on this journey together. Grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's see what the universe has in store for you. I love that. But I guess like technically, this reading will actually add, I guess, yeah, talk about love, career, and personal growth. That's true. And I was reading for this one woman, and she was like, I'm gonna grab a glass of champagne, which, people like to pretend to be rich around me because for some odd reason they think I'm like super wealthy. Which I guess I am, whatever. But I don't know. I drink every once in a while, but I hate alcohol. So like she said that to me, I was like, ugh, like don't get drunk. You're gonna forget. You know what I mean? But I do, or I'm trying to offer this new service where even with the phone call readings, that you can have a recording of it. So even if you do get sloshed during the reading, drinking champagne or beer or whatever, you can still remember, and it's not like, in one ear and out the other, which is like, it's funny when I'm doing a reading for somebody and I see the Four of Cups, I'm like, and you're not going to retain anything that I am saying. Like I'm practically talking to myself. Cool, used to it, that's fine. So that's the intro. Grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's see what the universe has in store for you. And when you buy readings from me, I'm like, it's 20 minutes, okay? I'm only doing 20 minutes. I hate you. It's only 20 minutes, and I will talk for 2 hours. Like I said, Mercury and Aries. So I try to make things fast, but there's just so much detail and so much to say about the tarot. So, like I'm rambling right now for 4 minutes. Okay. So yes, this reading will give you a clarity on all these different aspects, but it actually will give you clarity on the 12 different aspects of the astrological houses. So it'll look at your self-esteem, your money, your community, what you sound like, what you're talking about, what you're speaking into existence, how you feeling out there, how's your mother, and like your sex life, like sex, creativity, fifth house, Leo energy stuff. And then work and health. So somebody was asking me about doing a reading on their health, and I was like, I don't think you're supposed to do that or some shit, especially on Reddit, but my thing is like, you can always ask the cards. I've never claimed to be a medical doctor. I don't even wear a white coat. But, it's like, I feel like especially with medical things, you need tarot readings because like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, I don't know. I remember Tuskegee. There's a lot of things going on with the pharmaceutical companies. And I used to work in marketing. I used to work for a digital marketing firm, very, very large, very lofty. corner office, all that jazz. And one of our first clients was a pharmaceutical company, and we decided as a company that we didn't want to work with them because they were the devil and they would sit around at lunch thinking of new ways to kill people. And I don't know if you remember this, and I don't know if I've spoken about this in a video before, and I think it's actually very synchronistic that I'm talking about health and drugs and pharmacies and doctors and hospitals in the month of September, because this is the Virgo month where Virgo rules health, work, and service, which is the sixth house that I just talked about. So just to make sure that I fill out all the houses, but yeah, so basically pharmaceutical companies are trying to kill you. If you take 4 Tylenol, it'll kill you, all that type of stuff. And we decided we don't want to work with them. And I used to play this game on my phone called, I think it was called like Plague or something. Something about, it was about mutating a virus that would ultimately, pathogen, something like that. Mutating a virus that would annihilate the planet. And I really have strong manifestation powers, and maybe this is like a collective manifestation thing from this game. But the pathogen that I would mutate in this game to win, like almost like immediately or quickly, was to make a pathogen that was spread by coughing that also caused coughing. And from that, there's like other details and whatnot. And then so when COVID came out, it was like kind of eye-opening. But anyway, and then your 7th house, we talked about love and relationships. I think that the 7th house actually talks more about like affairs, you know, one-night stands, fly-by-night relationships. The 8th house talks about, you know, sex, death and taxes, life renewal. I see it as the house of like desires and wants. So it's like you may want enough money to pay your taxes. You may want to have sex with someone. You have like desires for somebody. So like if I'm doing this tarot forecast in your 8th house, I see the King of Cups. It's like you want to have sex with this like Scorpio Cancer guy. And then the 9th house, it talks about your education. It talks about like travel. So, you know, it's like, I don't know, if I see like the 10 of Swords there, I'd be like, oh, it's not a good time to travel. But actually, the 9th house in Jupiter is what you're supposed to look at in your natal chart when it comes to long-term relationships and marriage. So, you know, even when I was killing it on that natal chart posting thing on TikTok, I would be like, oh, you have a rising Libra, you should date or marry a rising Aries. Or like have an affair with them because that's their 7th house. But actually for like marriage and long-term relationship, you'd be better off with a Gemini, I think. That's 9 houses from Libra. Yeah, because they'd be the same energy. Yeah. Okay, cool. Or same element, whatever. And the 10th house, which talks about like what you can use to elevate yourself, to get in connection with your mighty iron presence and your most elevated form. Like the 4th house is usually like how you can stay in homeostasis, and the 10th house is like how can you evolve, like what can you use to evolve. And the 11th house, I'm sure you guys already know this, and I want to get into a pattern of just like boom, bang, reading the cards without explaining myself, but here we are. The 11th house is like your friends, but I usually say, like if I'm doing a reading like this for you personally, I usually say that the 3rd house is what you're speaking into existence, the 7th house is what you're actually attracting, and the 11th house is the vibration that you have. So I'll explain this later while I'm doing the reading. Without giving a bunch of like hypotheticals, because all this reading is like hypothetical, right? And then the 12th house talks about secrets, self-undoing, but I actually see it the house of like misery. So if I'm doing a comparative natal chart reading and I see that you have, Libra in your 12th house, I'm like, don't date Libras, they want to make you miserable. But if I see Libra in your ninth house, I'm like, oh, go ahead, get married and date a Libra, whatever. And okay, so let's begin. Um, where to begin? Okay, so in the first house of self-esteem, the Aries house, we got the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups talks about like food delivery, having things delivered to your home, Amazon. When it's reversed, I see it as that meme about like ordering Uber Eats and it's $70 and it's cold and nasty. But this is upright, so this is about all of your wishes being granted, okay? And I think that towards the end of September, Mercury might be going to retrograde. I do see things about energies about Mercury going to retrograde um, later on in the reading. Uh, but I do see like there's like all these reconciliations happening and people coming together and harmonizing. So, especially with like a Knight of Cups, like a Pisces, Nine of Cups is a very Pisces card. And I'm seeing, so for some reason, I think like 1 or 2 years ago, I kept seeing like the Nine of Cups and the Chariot, which is the following card in the second house, representing Wolverine. But like the 1990s X-Men cartoon Wolverine, where he has like the bright blue and yellow suit on. And I'm not super into comics or into the comic book world, but they have this thing with Deadpool and Wolverine now where he's like wearing the old school blue and yellow outfit. And I have absolutely no idea why. I don't even know what movie it's promoting. I don't even know if it's promoting a movie, but for some reason that's significant. And maybe it'll come to light closer to September. So this talks about self-esteem. It's like, you could be overweight, but you're happy. All of your wishes are granted. You're doing great things. And there might be something about you that slightly resembles Danny Zuko. You might be wearing a beautiful leather jacket. You might have your hair in a pompadour filled with grease, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Like you might be going out to restaurants, ordering Uber Eats every day, having enough money to have things delivered. And it like aggrandizes your self-esteem because like I was talking about COVID earlier, and I think that's the best method. I think eventually grocery stores will kind of go out of style, and that DoorDash, Uber Eats, you can have the best groceries brought to your home. And I know for myself, like I know that grocery stores have like catalogs and magazines and discounts, but it's a completely different thing when you can go onto an app, browse for hours, for days if you wanted to, and you can save your, I don't work for DoorDash, but like you can save your substitutions, you can save your grocery list, or they like, oh, you can like just like boop, 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 boop. These are the 9 things I always get at the grocery store, the nine things that I want, and they can safely just bring it to my house without having me going to the grocery store, interacting with 1,000 different people, potentially damaging my car, all those things that go along with going to the grocery store. And also, you could order things from Target. And this is only significant because, I do see the Wheel of Fortune in the 10th house, but this is only significant because the Target trap. Everybody jokes about it. You go to Target for one thing, you just want to spend $20, and then you spend $80 going, like this is for me, because I used to walk there in DC. I'd like walk to Target, I'm like, okay, I'm spending $20, I need to buy one thing. And then I end up spending $80. I can't walk home because I have an ottoman now, and I need to also get an Uber home because now I need someone home to help me take this ottoman home. Or a bar for my living room or whatever it is that you're purchasing, curtains, window curtains. And okay, so that's the first house, self-esteem, 9 of Cups, you're feeling great, your wishes are granted. The second house is the Taurian house. It talks about your money and finances, but particularly it's like your resource. So if I'm doing like a love reading on somebody and I see a court card here and that court card represents you, I'm like, oh, this person's using you for your money. They think of you as a cash cow. They're going to milk you, drain you until you die. But I see the Chariot here. So Major Anakara can talk about people, but usually that's mostly court cards. So I see this as like your resource or your best cash cow right now is either your car or your website or both. Um, I've also been seeing the two sphinxes, like the dark sphinx and the light sphinx of the chariot card representing like light mode and dark mode on your computer. So as a web designer or graphic designer, you know, you might be designing specifically for the light mode of a website while everybody has their website on dark mode. But like Uber, you know what I mean? Like I said, like I keep talking about Uber. Um, your car might be your greatest asset and resource, whether if that's, you know, like I said, you're driving for Uber or DoorDash, or if you are going to work every day, you know, your car is an asset. Even if you're doing something like Instacart or Ship It or whatever it is, you need a car, you need a website, or you need to be on the app, and that's going to help you, and that's your cash cow. Okay, so the third house, this is what I say, you know, you're speaking into existence, is the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups, to me, is like the pride card. Like, it's the rainbow flag, it's the pride parade, it's Godspell, it's you and your friends out in a field somewhere in Michigan, starting your own, you know, hippie village community and singing musicals and show tunes all day and night. And I am a Pisces, and I have a bias or a philosophy that all Pisces are gay, especially, and not even, yes, gay, homosexual, like man on man, lesbian, whatever, but mostly in the sense of like gay stereotypes. Like they're gay, they're happy, their wrists are limp. Like if you read Joanna Woolfolk's The Secret Language of Birthdays, the second decan of Pisces, I think, or whatever, however they split up Pisces, I think like the second one or the third one, they go into a lot of detail about how they're very feminine, they have limp wrists. It's hard for me to say. And I want to say rimplist. I don't know. And then Amy Winehouse, my fucking spirit guide, who's been correcting my singing as I've been just like singing in the shower and stuff, telling me like, if you can't sing it well and you don't know the words, it's probably not your part, and you should just listen until you do know it and you do know how to sing it. And she's been saying a bunch of other mean things to me. Like just really mean and hurtful things that I would never accept from a living person. And it's like, you're really lucky you're a ghost because I can't fight you. Like so rude, so hurtful, but smart, but real, you know what I mean? And I wish I knew a living Virgo that was like that, but I don't. And so this also does talk about like connecting to the other side and the other world. Okay, so, and then the fourth house. So the fourth house, this talks about your connection to your mother. This talks about, like the first house talks about the connection to your father. And, like, I don't know, he might be at a bar drinking. He might become like a benevolent alcoholic. Like it might be a kombucha bar or a juice bar or something like that. And then, or like a barista. Like I was doing a reading for a woman on Reddit, and it gets like, my clarity is so clear, but I can see, especially when they're like younger, like 19 and 20, they're like so staunchly in denial. And I was like, I saw the death card in her fourth house, and I was like, she's like, oh, I'm in medical school, I'm training to be a doctor. And I was like, okay, I can see that you're going to become a yoga instructor. It's like, that's not in alignment with what I'm planning. And I'm like, well, somebody is going to pass. It is going to make you really sad. And then you're going to become a yoga instructor. And this could be a continuation of the energy of September, where it's like people are learning that the medical field is sort of evil. Like the evil voodoo witch doctor isn't the Papa Legba worshiping root worker down the street. It's actually, you know, Dr. Finkus I'm in Virginia. It's like Virginia Hospital Center. Like they're the murderers, you know? if this is a game of Clue and we're trying to find out who done it, it was the doctor. The good doctor, Dr. Frankenfurter. I don't know. And so in the fourth house, I see the Nine of Swords. So the fourth house, like I said, it's like if you want to be Jean-Luc Pikachu and never evolve, you look in your natal chart and you see what your fourth house energy is, and you gravitate towards that. So in this reading, I see the Nine of Swords, which represents Aquarian energy. But it's also like staying up all night watching tarot readings, staying up all night cramming astrological knowledge like somebody's going to test you later. And it's like astrology is something to guide you through life. So if you're 17 and you only know 5 of the signs, you know, you've dated 6 Leos and you don't really know about anything else, you don't have to rack your brain. You'll get the knowledge when you need it. I needed a lot of knowledge very early on because when I was born, I was put into very unsafe situations and circumstances and born into a really bad family. But through my journey, I have realized that if I had a different family, we would have butt heads in a completely different way, and that I chose this family and that my life is perfect. But only because I've had these protections. And just to dial it back to the second house, the Chariot card, it talks about spiritual protections. So you might have a landlord who's trying to like shake you down. And I know every Cancer and Libra thinks about this, and the Chariot card's a Cancer Libra card, that they're like, oh, if I have a car, like worst comes to worst, I'll just live in my car. Which is a horrible thing to manifest, and it's not possible, but it does give you a little bit safety. If you're like in a rocky relationship, you can go out for a drive, you can get away. It's a great resource to you and also offers protection. But the Chariot card also talks about spiritual protection and prayers that have been placed on you. And so when I was saying, like when I was a kid, my grandmother put spiritual protection and prayers over me, and my mother put me in alignment with astrology. So I don't have to go through the Nine of Swords and have my brain rattled by trying to figure out astrological charts. And this is also why I think that tarot readings are a little bit better than natal chart readings, because I feel like natal charts kind of start to make you feel like the Charlie Day meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, trying to figure out the conspiracy theory that is your life. You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, I want to date this guy. He's in Aries, but Aries is in my 12th house. But, you know, my Mars is in Sagittarius, so yada, yada, yada. So in my astrological practice, I try to keep it like very boiled down. I focus on the sun. I focus on the rising, maybe Mercury, Venus, Mars. But what I learned from the TikTok trend is that actually a lot of people have stelliums. A lot of people have 4 or 5 signs in one sign, so the natal chart, the complexities of the natal charts aren't really useful to them. But if you have something like you're a Virgo with a rising Sagittarius, then your chart is probably a little bit more complex because there are different energies. You know, you might be thinking like you should date a Taurus or a Capricorn, but because of the Sagittarius, you're more in alignment with like an Aquarius or something else. But also this is a message like Nine of Swords. It's like this Aquarius is not your mommy. They'll leave you like up at night itching. Like there's just something about them, you know, some type of insect on them or something that keeps them itching up all night. And this could be like the 7-year itch, you know, or them, like I said, like their mind being bottled by astrology. It's mind-boggling Baxter, like Anchorman. And okay, so then moving on to, so this is like how, if you want to stay where you are and not evolve and not move forward in your life, just stay in the Nine of Swords, worrying about astrology and if people are doing witchcraft on you all night. Or is astrology witchcraft? Am I going to go to hell? It's like, honey, this is hell, okay? We're trying to get you to get to heaven. We're trying to get you through the rings to at least purgatory at this point. Like, purgatory would be a blessing. Earth is hell. And so the fifth house, Leo house, ego, sex, creativity, how you stand out. But I also see the fifth house as weaknesses and obstacles. And what I'm seeing here is the Queen of Wands. So there could be this woman or feminine man that is so popular and so famous that you will bend to their will unwittingly, or you won't, what is it called? It's irresistible. Like whatever their whim is that they're asking you to do is just simply irresistible. And I'm seeing the simply irresistible, and I'm seeing the hangman right next to her. So she might be trying to get you to set somebody up or create false evidence against somebody. Most certainly a Leo person or someone that's very famous and popular. And just because I'm petty and the readings that I do on Reddit make me angry, I'll always say that. I'm like, okay, Queen of Wands in your fifth house, there's a popular woman who's in your way. And they're like, what does popular woman mean? I'm like, you know, like the women you see on television and Twitter that have like 12,000 followers or whatever it is, a popular person. And it could even be like somebody that has an energy that's like Glinda from Wicked. And when I see this energy here, you know, like I was talking about Wolverine, and I don't know if people believe in the Illuminati, but I do believe that all media is like meant to destroy your psyche, even to the fact that like cartoons will continuously use the number 13 and addresses and any type of numbering that they have because the animators are spiteful and evil and they're like slightly wishing death on you. So I received this message about the King Kong movie. It was like, don't watch it, it's evil. And it may not be particularly evil in the scripting or in the visuals, but the score in the movie that you're not even thinking about could have some type of unhealing frequency, some type of hurtful frequency, you know? To the point that when I was watching it, I was like talking and screaming through the whole movie. And it actually makes me think about why I stopped liking or watching Hollywood movies, because, you know, people talk about how the Illuminati is not real, but the Hays Code is very real. It's history, it's real, that most movies are encrypted with racist programming because back in the 50s, the Klan would rough up your Nickelodeon or your movie theater if it didn't watch a YouTube video about pre-movie code. Like, people say the Illuminati's not real, and like the Illuminati is totally real. It's the Ku Klux Klan, and they have control of the media. You know, and I have a video that talks about Princess and the Frog, but like that movie is proof. Like, you watch that movie, it's from 2009 and it's horrible. And if you watch that movie, it seems like all the writers were wearing white hoods like while writing it. They're like, the white guy is the hero, the black girl can't be a princess unless she marries a European, and the Jews are evil, and the voodoo tarot reader, he's evil too because racism. Like, literally every line should be followed by because racism. And the reason why I stopped investing in Hollywood movies is because I watched X-Men First Class, which I don't remember if it has Wolverine in it or not, but Darwin, the character whose ability is to adapt to anything and basically not die, died. And he was the only black character in the movie. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it's like this like George Floyd thing where it's supposed to make you have this emotional response because he's like the most like earnest character or whatever. But to me, it was just like some, like I said, like some dude in a white hood who was like, this movie isn't degrading to black men enough. Like, the black man character needs to die, you know? And I watched Black Panther. I don't remember Black Panther too much, but I do remember that the villain was a black person from Africa. So I wasn't really happy about that either. So there's that. So you could even be asked to be in a film. Like, Jennifer Lopez could literally be like, hey, do you want to be in my movie? But then it's like super horrible and racist and they might try to shoot you like they did Brandon Lee. You know, so just be aware of that. And I don't know Brandon Lee's sign. Bruce Lee's son. And then moving in, so that's why I'm saying it's like an obstacle, you know what I mean? Like even I was just stuck in that house for a second trying to explain what I feel like is going on. And so could even be somebody who's trying to get their words together to talk about those subjects, about things from the past, because it would be healing because it's the month of September. And as we move into the sixth house, which is the Virgo house, it talks about health, service, and healing, medicine, and things like that. We have the Eight of Wands. So the Eight of Wands is my Mercury retrograde card. It does talk about other planetary retrogrades. I don't know every planet that's in retrograde right now. I think like Jupiter and Neptune are in the sign of Pisces. And I know that there's going to be a Mercury retrograde at like sometime in August and September, I guess. And if I'm solely looking at my cards, it says that it's happening in the sign of Virgo. But then also, astrology is skewed because of Orpheus and things like that. But, August, September, Mercury's going to retrograde. I could Google it right now, but it would get rid of my intro and outro thing on my screen. Even including the shadow of Mercury retrograde things are going to be affecting your sixth house during the month of September. What does that mean? It means double check things. It means delete 1,000 photos off your phone. Don't get a new job, or if you're trying to get a job, you don't have a job, go back to an old job. It means that a lot of people from your past are going to be resurfacing, and there's going to be like travel delays. And then, some people say that when Mercury retrograde happens in Virgo or Gemini, it's not as rough because it's their ruling planet, but I think that is, just dependent on your own stars. So there could be some type of people start doing lobotomies again, or things like from the medical practices from the past resurfacing, medical issues from the past resurfacing, conspiracy theories about the pharmaceutical companies being confirmed, and a lot of conversations being had and rehashing of things. Watching old movies like Princess and the Frog and X-Men First Class to see what the hell Tarot Bay is talking about. That could all be happening there. And then also, if you've been feeling stagnant around work or your health, you don't feel like you're healing fast enough, you could see things moving forward very quickly. With your ear, nose, and throat doctor, because my ear and nose just start to itch immediately as I start to talk about that. Okay, so enough about the Ku Klux Klan and the Illuminati and conspiracy theories and the evils of Hollywood. So what you're speaking to existence, like I said, was the Ten of Cups, which I say is keeping it gay. And what is it? I'm not going to sing, I promise. But it's the producers keep it gay, where it's I was literally just listening to it and ruining my voice before I started this video, but it was let me look up Mercury retrograde. The things you guys make me do. And I also want to look up these song lyrics. I think I don't know, I've been doing this, I've literally have almost been doing Tarot Bay for 6 years, I guess. But it started as Tarot Bro. And so altogether, Tarot Bro, Tarot Bay, I've been doing this for 10 years. So there's times where I'm I know everybody's zodiac sign, I know where every planet is, but I've kind of fallen out of alignment. I'm trying to get back. Mercury retrograde in Virgo and Leo, August 5th to the 28th. So yeah, in Virgo and Leo. And then again, it goes into retrograde November 25th and through December 15th in the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, cool. That's that. And then it's basically glamour excites us, a happy ending will brighten our day, keep it gay, Let's really quickly look. It's not that important, but I want to know because I feel like I should know things. Keep it light, keep it bright. Whether if it's murder, mayhem, or rage, don't complain. It's a pain. Keep it gay. People want laughter when they see a show. Lasting thereafter is a litany of woe. A happy ending will pep up your play. Oedipus won't bomb if he winds up with mom. You know, like that. So like keep it gay, keep it happy, keep it light. So even if I'm talking about the KKK, I'm like, KKK, they're controlling all of your minds in movies, and that's why you hate yourself, because you think that you have to bleach yourself for some reason. And the thing is, like, you might think that this only affects people of color, but like whiteness is not real, and it affects Caucasian, European people too, where they feel like they have to perform their race. So like when some fascist Italian is telling you how they don't like pineapple on pizza, or you can't put American cheese in your pasta, it's because the like rubric or the definition of their identity is very thin. And even with homosexuality or gay people, like men will be like, oh, I don't wear V-neck shirts because that's gay. And it's like, no, that's like maybe, might be like flirting gay, as Theo Vaughn would say, but that's not gay. The guys that you have anonymous sex with that you don't talk to before or after on Grindr, that's gay. That's the gay part. The V-neck is fine. You can have an earring on either side of your head. It's what you do in the recesses of night that is gay. Or in the middle of the morning, or whatever time is that you do it. And there's even people out there from like the 1980s, like Generation X people, who are like, oh, you're not gay if you have kids, which is some stupid shit I've heard from people before. And I see in the 7th house, there's the sun. So like the sun tarot card. So it's like somebody saying like, oh, I'm not gay, I have a kid. And it's just like, that's the limp. That one guy is some guy at the reality show. And he is like Uncle Arthur. God, what's his real name? The guy from Bewitched. Brenda LaCreme played him on Snatch Game. Like, who needs a brain when you have a phone? He was on Hollywood Squares. Paul Lynde. Okay, there we go. Thank you guys for bearing with me. As I'm like, I have Mercury and Aries, and I'm impatient, and I'm so smart, I forget everything. But he's like, he literally looks like Paul Lynde. I'm not going to Google him, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He's always on TikTok. And that's like very confusing to children, where I'm like, it's like, when your father is a screaming queen, but he's telling you that he's heterosexual, it's like you won't really know what homosexual or heterosexual behavior looks like, because you've been deceived by somebody that you trust. And I remember being in elementary, and it's like, it's a big thing, you know, it's not like, gay is not legal yet. Because in Hollywood, or as a teacher, or as any type of public figure, if you come out as like the gay figure skater, then it's like you're not going to be asked to come to certain events or to promote certain products, because you're going to be looked at as like a back alley, bottom shelf, brown paper bag human being. Sort of like, almost like, you know, I don't know Amber Rose's sexuality, but it's like she's gay, she's queer. You know, she's like a queer character. She's a, I forget the number, but, you know, she's like kind of a sex worker a little bit. And they had her talking at like some type of like political rally. And so it's like, but I also do believe that eventually in the future, the witch trial will be turned around when a candidate is trying to portray themselves as like the first gay candidate. It's like, well, how witchy did you get? How gay are you? Have you dressed in drag? Like, it's like, it turns it around, you know what I mean? So it affects like who you're able to advertise with, what type of movies you're able to be in, what countries those movies will be played in, because there's like super fascist countries like Saudi Arabia. So, you know, when you're watching TV or you're seeing some like, I was watching some comedian and she was talking about like how she converted to Judaism for her husband, and now he goes to Burning Man every day, or every day, every season, every year. And he's like standing there with his bike and a Speedo, and I was like, girl, you should convert back to whatever religion you were. Like, no Jewish man that is heterosexual is not going to marry a Jewish woman because they're thinking about their bloodline and their lineage, right? And I know that sounds like very pig-headed, whatever, but it's like, if you're a staunch religious Jewish man, you're not going to date some shiksa because that it goes against your beliefs. So it's like a progression. It's a progression that you take. Like I know a friend, and it's like I know these things because like I've come out of the closet before, and I have friends that have come out of the closet. And my one friend, he like grew up Catholic, a Latino, which they all have this like philosophy of bettering their family and marrying white people. Or like that's the trophy wife or husband to have as a white person. So what does he do? Because he's like, I'm gay and I know I'm going to disappoint my family anyway. Brings home a black girl, like, test the waters. Brings home a black guy, like things like that, where it's like you're challenging the traditions of your faith and family. Do I think that tradition is good or positive? Absolutely not. But it is what it is. And it's the same way that I feel about John Mulaney, where it's like screaming queen, super twink screaming queen, but lavender marriage to Olivia Munn. And then it's like, I just remember so many stand-ups. Wanda Sykes stand-up, John Mulaney. I'm just like, okay, this is like the most roundabout way of coming out of the closet I've ever seen. Like, do we really need Comedy Central Presents the story of why you're gay? Oh, me and my hairdresser wife have a pit bull named Petunia and we're not going to have any kids. It's like, just whatever. But then being gay was illegal. It's still not legal now, and all the things that I said, so I get it. But so, from sounding so gay, basically, what you're attracting is the sun, which is like being happy and out of the closet and going for a walk and having good times and potentially having children that you can love and adorn and not feel resentment when it's 2054 and everybody's allowed to be who they want to be. It just started raining as I said that. I wish I could like turn up the natural sound. So if you hear weird noises, it's raining. And okay, so moving on to the 8th house, the Ten of Swords. We have the Ten of Swords in the 8th house, which this talks about like, I feel like an Aquarius doing a curse on a Scorpio, or Scorpio might be cursing you, or you might want to put a curse on a Scorpio with a rising Aquarius or something like that. This also talks about this Scorpio having like a lot of game overs, darkest before dawn. I see, this rain is really distracting me. I see that, it's actually a hurricane. I see that the Ten of Swords talks about deportation, divorce, and deployment into the military. So a Scorpio that you might know is getting divorced, deployed overseas, or facing deportation. Or there's just some type of time's up, game over. Like I was working at this coffee shop as a barista because I was really lonely, sitting in my house making these tarot videos every day, and I was like, I'm gonna go find me a man working in the service industry, and it was a complete bust. And because who wants to date a barista, right? In reality. But I had this little coworker, and he was like really cute, and I was like, well, let's see where this goes. And we vibed along very nicely, got along swimmingly, great, loved talking to him. And I did cards on him, of course, and I saw that he had the Ten of Swords in his 4th house. And I was like, oh, there's something ending between him and his mother. And the next day I went to go to work with him, and he was like, oh, like I'm in the this guy, like twink of the year, you know what I mean? And like, he was like, oh, I'm getting deployed into the military. And I was like, girl, they're gonna use you as ammunition. Like, what are you talking about, And that's why I see the Ten of Swords as like deployment, because he went over to the military. So there could be some Scorpio facing things like that. And like there's certain countries like Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, Korea, that there is Egypt, there is mandatory military service. So a Scorpio that could be being forced into the Korean military or the Egyptian military, and they want to jump off the 10th floor of a building to avoid it. But I don't recommend that. There's a lot of swords in this reading. It's like violently raining. Maybe I should do like an ASMR voice. Hi, welcome to your tarot forecast. It's raining. So we have the Five of Swords here in your 9th house, which is saying to me that, let me try to focus. So I see the Nine of Swords in your 9th house, which is saying to me that, like, basically, like, education is a scam. And there's a lot of people that I have seen, like, education is a scam, makeup is a scam. There's some Libra that you know that's been lying about their education. I actually know a Libra who lied about their whole undergraduate experience. And then I had confirmation from that probably like 5 years later when they tried to add me on LinkedIn and they didn't have their college education listed. So if you feel any type of way about your college education, having traveled or not traveled places, or whatever, education, long distance travel, all those things, just know that a lot of people are lying. They're using Photoshop, they're using green screen, they're using filters, they're using makeup, they're using hair extensions, they're using Facetune. That there's a lot of people, a lot of Sagittariuses, a lot of Libras in your life that are trying to win by deceit. And it's really easy nowadays with photos and Instagram. Every photo you look at is a lie. A photograph can take a party of 15 people and make it into a raging fiesta. And there's also things like AI. And there is this one video that I watch a lot because I love music and very weird music. What is it called? This is the Army Mr. Jones. And there's a lot of these scenes from like the 1950s in movies where people looked airbrushed or like almost cartoony and drawn in. And it's like, we might be just getting access to AI technology, but this technology might have been accessible, or more than most likely have been accessible to people in the government for the past 50 years, So don't be shocked to realize, if you get invited to this Hollywood set, that they just take your picture and then they just do whatever they want with your image and just like run it through the generator. Especially in these like superhero movies, because it's mostly green screen anyway, right? Like people running around with the white balls on them and the blues, whatever. So it's like they might have already like, I could, especially with the way, like, I have so many feelings about the Miles Morales Spider-Man movie, but I don't have a lot of knowledge of, like, the comic universe background, but I do have a lot of feelings about it. But even with that being, like, so cartoony, you could literally, like, go, 50 years from now, as you're feeling sad about not being cast in Chicago with Renee Zellweger or whatever it is, 5 years from now, 50 years from now, you might be able just to go up to your phone and be like, can you make a movie that is like Chicago except for everybody lives and I'm in it? And I'm Amos, or I'm Roxy, or I'm Zelda. And you can sit there and watch yourself without saddlebags on your arms with a picture of you from when you were 21 singing anything, or singing All That Jazz. I love Anything Goes, Cole Porter, and I love Patti LuPone. Or like Patti LuPone, you know what I mean? Like you might be like, I want to see me in Evita at 25, and I want it to be lit well and right, So that's that. That's the 9th house. That's the long distance future too. There also could be somebody, some Libra, some Sagittarius that's like pretending to be married to win by deceit and to create an air of envy and jealousy. Okay, so the 10th house, the Capricorn house, your mighty iron presence, your destiny. This is how you evolve that Jean-Luc Pikachu into a Raichu, okay? This is how you turn that protest into a riot, Capricorn. The Wheel of Fortune. So what is the Wheel of Fortune? Come on down, right, and spin it. So I do see the Wheel of Fortune as like your lot in life, whatever, whatever, but how is that measured? I see that being measured by your natal chart. So when you're talking about like drawing straws or the cards that life has dealt you, I think that is found in your natal chart. And so, I mean, obviously, as a salesy tarot reader, what I would suggest is getting a natal chart reading from me, and that will help you evolve your Pikachu into a Raichu. And if you don't understand that reference, it's like, I don't know, some evolution, evolving something. And that knowledge is held in your natal chart. So how do you evolve your relationship? How do you evolve your life? How do you stop toxic cycles? If I didn't pay attention to astrology, I probably would be miserable dating some Leo or Libra right now and not understanding why, like, you know, like, oh, all guys are the same. And it's like, no, you just keep dating all the same guys in different forms or of the same sign, which is a pattern that I've actually, in my earlier journey, have broken a lot of people free from. But also, in a more realistic sense, the Wheel of Fortune are like large appliances, like a dishwasher, a washing machine, a dryer, a spare tire for your car, backup parts. I don't know cars, like other things that are wheel shaped that you would need for a car, other things that are wheel shaped that you would need for a home. Some Capricorn might need their tire changed or something like that. They might have a flat. You yourself as a Capricorn might start doing natal chart readings. I'm not going to share all my personal information, but just like the money that I made from my part-time job, the money that I was making for readings, it was like, it was good, you know what I mean? Like, especially like if you have credit cards, I'm like, I've never understood how you're supposed to pay back the interest unless you're like steadily getting promotions at your job every 6 months, because you're never going to earn more money than you're already earning. You need a side hustle and a second business. Which, when we move to the 11th house right now, all my videos end up being about how cartoons and movies are racist, but it comes up in the cards. It's going to be a thing, trust me. But if we move to the 11th house right now, so like I was saying earlier in the video, that the third house is what you're speaking into existence, which is New World Order, Godspell, gay revolution, legalize gay, this and that. What is actually being attracted is the Sun card, which, you know, it's like a naked baby on a horse. So this could be like, you know, you live in a place where gay people aren't allowed to adopt children, and or you know, because you are gay, you feel like you couldn't have kids, or blah blah blah, and there was a child being brought into your life. And the tarot, is a baby always a baby? No. Sometimes it's a dog. Sometimes it's a new business. Sometimes it's just things that you're going to nurture and love like your child. And that's what's being attracted to you. And this is being brought to you by the letter T. I'm just kidding. Brought to you by, it just made me think of Sesame Street. You know what I mean? Like, brought to you by the letter T and the number 20. Or the number 2, because it's the 2 of Pentacles. So because you have a side hustle, or because you work 2 jobs, or because you're ending a cycle of balancing your finances, because you stopped wanting to be a vaudeville character or quote unquote movie star. Like, I literally watched this interview last night with Cate Blanchett talking about she basically got paid in sandwiches to do Lord of the Rings, which is believable because I'm a nerd. I love Lord of the Rings. If whoever the director was of Lord of the Rings, or Hugh Jackman or whatever, walked through my door right now and was like, "Hi, we're doing Lord of the Rings. Do you want to be in it? We're gonna pay you in sandwiches." I would be like, "Oh my God, PB and jelly, please." You know what I mean? So just be aware of that. Like, you know, you might be jealous or envious because somebody is starring in the Garfield movie and you love Garfield, or something like that. Or it actually makes me think of, if I'm going to be a pop culture guy, I should really be a pop culture guy, but It makes me think of that Indian guy from Mean Girls, something Patel. I think that's the character's name. He was like a rapper or something in the movie. And the actual actor's favorite book was Life of Pi. And he went through all this training and all this money to be cast in the film adaptation of Life of Pi, which he was not cast in. And that could make someone feel like an enormous loser. It could have even been done on purpose, you know what I mean? Like, somebody might see me fighting tooth and nail wanting to be in an Uncle Arthur movie or a Bewitched movie, and they go ahead and skip ahead of you and make an AI version in 2 minutes while you're out there with like 3 drag queens trying to, make this film like John Waters and Divine, and before you know it, like, you're watching it on television or, in a movie theater. And this also makes me think of the conspiracy, especially with the 9 of Cups in the first house, makes me think about the Kazam Shazam conspiracy, because I could be misremembering. I'm not perfect. I'm not a computer. I'm not AI. But I vividly, wholeheartedly would swear on a stack of Bibles, Qurans, Sidney Omar astrology books, the Tao Te Ching, whatever biblical text, that the Kazam movie was real, because I just remember so clearly. And I really wish that I could get into contact with the people to corroborate this story, but if I'm not misremembering, I literally remember sitting on my grandparents' floor, about to go to the movies to watch Shazam, being like, okay, I'll go watch this like cheap made-for-TV version, and then I'll go watch the real version with Shaquille O'Neal in the movie theaters. And I don't it had to be after I watched this. And I don't remember which movie theater I went to go see it in. I feel like it was Potomac Yards in Arlington. But there was another time where I was leaving the Lowe's in Georgetown before it was nicer, and it's not that nice right now, or the last time I remember going there. But this is when the Lowe's in Georgetown was sort of like a low-end movie theater, like the West End Theater in Georgetown as well, where it's like kind of like real small, like not like a flat floor, so it didn't have like the stadium seating. I went to go watch some movie there. I think it might have been the Dungeons and Dragons movie with the Wayans brothers or some other movie, and I was there with my mom, my brother, my godbrother Sean, and maybe his brother too. And we saw Shaquille, and I swear to God, like I'm going to pressure my father to give me his number just so I could be like, hey, can you record yourself corroborating this story? Because it's something I'd forgotten about. And so we went to go see a movie or whatever, whichever movie it was. I had to be maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years old. And we saw this is Georgetown, Washington, D.C. in the early 2000s, late 90s. So Georgetown was like the Melrose, or what is it, like like the Melrose Place, or like the Champs-Élysées of DC, which it still is. They got a Lululemon. We hate Lululemon. They're a racist company. But, it is like an outside mall. So we see the starting lineup of the Lakers, but we're little kids. I don't know the starting lineup of the Lakers. I saw Shazam, the genie, and we chased him down and begged him, asked him to rain candy on us like he did in the movie. Which is probably super uncomfortable, because like you're not supposed to ask strangers for candy, but then or whatever. But like we're little kids. They had like a crowd of people, probably Georgetown students, chasing them. But they all outran them, but they couldn't outrun us because we were, 3 very athletic, very well melanated children, and. So he didn't give us any candy, but Two of Pentacles, he gave us $20 each, which I think between, 3 or 4 children, that was like $80, $100, whatever, which I think my mom kept, which she probably should have, whatever. But he's like, I don't have any candy. Here's like $20. And I think also he was like, oh, I would love to meet him one day because it would totally be, I feel like I met you when I was a kid. Do you remember me? Uh, he he was like, do you know these other guys? Like, do you know who I'm with? Like, do you know who these other people are? And we were like, do they have candy? No, I have no idea who those people are. Um, and then he's a Pisces, I believe. So he was like very appreciative of that and he gave us $20. So I have like a starstruck moment with the star of Shazam. I've never met Sinbad, but I would literally, if I met Sinbad, I would jack him up by the collar and be like, I know you did that movie. Tell me the truth, you know? So something like that might come up. Other conspiracy theories about the Illuminati, about the film industry, about why they were trying to erase Shazam or Kazam, and I think it's probably because it was like probably horribly racist towards like Middle Eastern people or something, like how Aladdin was. The only thing I remember in either Kazam or Shazam was somebody eating a goat's eyeball, and the scene where they're like raining down candy. That's the only thing I remember. Food. And so what? So your vibration is probably calling these conspiracy theories to arrest so that you can have more trust in your memory and your intuition. Coolio. Okay, so thank you guys for bearing with me through walking through all the houses. And we're about to enter the 12th house of sadness, sorrow, and self-undoing in Pisces, which we have the Two of Wands. Which the Two of Wands makes me think of the Sublime song, Smoke Two Joints. I smoke 2 joints in the morning, I smoke 2 joints at night. It makes me feel all right. And this could be what's self-sabotaging you, this is like your form of self-sabotage, and it's not helping you. It's causing you to be miserable. So maybe smoke 1 joint, or none joints, or no cigarettes. But in the sense of these being candles or incense, I would say light 2 incense, light 2 candles. It'll help you stop self-sabotaging. But also, and I see the Two of Wands talking about wanderlust. I think there's other cards that illustrate that syndrome more clearly, but wanderlust is a curse. It's like a bad thing. What is it? In Les Miserables, Keeper of the House, travel is a curse. It's a trick. You know what I mean? From like the 1950s. Oh, come and travel to these exotic lands and get some awful, horrible disease in which there is no cure. You know what I mean? And meet these horribly racist, fascist Italians that are going to be mean and awful to you. And come to the Champs-Élysées where you can have the finest French croissant that is only flour, salt, and water and tastes like dirt and is covered with bees because it is a tourist trap and a trick, wanderlust. You know, you might see a friend who is like seems to be traveling all around the world every day, but it's just social media and they have a stock of photos that they've taken over time. And it's like they're not in Paris every weekend. They're not in Mozambique every other month. They just like went there 1 or 2 times and they have a collection of photos, 5 of Swords in the 9th house, lying about long distance travel and marriage and education. So be aware of that. I think that was a big thing and a big theme in my last video, but with things like Facetune and AI and all those other things, there is a lot more room to be deceived into for deception. So, 12th house, travel is a curse. You may not have traveled anywhere. You might have a felony and you may not be able to travel anywhere. You might, like I said before earlier in the reading, I don't see the justice card here, but you might have some immigration issues, so it may not behoove you to travel anywhere. Don't let this popular woman, this Leo woman, who is pretending to travel all the time, deceive you and trick you into sabotaging yourself by going on some trip or some vacation that you can't afford, that you're not supposed to go on. Like for myself, I've bonded with a spirit that is very paranoid and suspicious of social media, and I've kind of received confirmation through my spirit guide. What's her name? Bakalis Almanzar, aka Cardi B. That now that I remembered her name, I forgot what I was gonna say. Travel is a curse. See, oh my god, like her name is a spell. I just forgot everything. That she was like, don't put my father on camera. He doesn't have security. And so, you might see these people getting these great opportunities, like being on The Real Housewives or whatever, but they're living in fear because their houses get robbed, or the Kardashians got robbed when they were in France or something like that. And they don't really talk about it because they don't want you to know how easy it is to rob them, and they don't have security. And it's even something I talk about all the time with like the Wheel of Fortune in the 10th house, that like the Ring camera, if somebody's bringing murder and mayhem and woe to you, all the Ring camera will do, it doesn't call the police for you. I mean, I think Alexa might, or the whatever, if they hear you screaming, they'll like call the police for you. But all you're really going to get is a 4K footage of your untimely demise. So even a lot of things in security are theater and deceptions, like those little chain locks that people, like when you put the chain lock on the door, you can literally like cue ball those things out with your finger. Like you can literally pick that lock with your finger. ADT, Ring cameras, video, all that stuff is not perfect. And like I said, security is mostly theater. And when I don't know, like I think about people like Joe Biden, I'm like, who is really willing to take a bullet for him? Does he have a Meechum? Does he have a gay boyfriend that's really willing to jump in front of a gun for him? I don't think so. And then like Donald Trump, 5 of Swords, Gemini, if he is telling the truth, was shot in the ear. Did anybody jump in front of him for the bullet? I don't know. I didn't watch the footage. But he got shot in the ear. I'm like, how does this happen? Because security is theater. And maybe that's why I keep talking about Keep It Gay and Broadway and, things like that, and lavender marriages, because it's a thing. It's happening. It's like my tarot tells the truth. I was doing a reading for a woman, and I'm sure she wants me to do a reading on the man that she's trying to drain the pockets of. And I was like, I see right here in your, I was like, where do you fall on the gender spectrum? And she was like, because I don't, I'm from the gay capital of the world, Washington, D.C., so I'm like, oh, you're all, like, F words, like, stop pretending and doing vaudeville. I'm sorry that you live in Iowa or Illinois or whatever, but I see that, she's like, she's like, fluid or whatever sometimes. And I was like, okay, well, I see that there's like a Capricorn woman that you'd be better suited with. And she's like, oh, my friend that I'm sitting with right here is a Capricorn. And I'm like, I think she's your girlfriend. So, just the more that people come out of the closet and they're real, they'll tear down these false structures, Where you can have a gay person in a Cheerios commercial and it's not a thing. You can have 2 dads in a fucking Clorox commercial and it's like, god damn it, gays use more Clorox than anybody else, they need it. So, yes. So then, in the center of this reading, I do see the World Tarot card, which the World talks about being, it's like levitation, you know what I mean? It's like being Dr. Manhattan, being so aligned that you're literally like lifted off the ground or floating in a pool because, you've made it. Imbalancing all the energies of your chart because, we got like the Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo depicted on the card as well. But it's also like being comfortable with your body, feeling good naked, and that's even more exemplified by the Star card. So, like someone might have taken pictures of you while you were in the shower or something, trying to embarrass you, or they found some photos of you naked, or they have nude photos or whatever, and they're like, oh, well, if I leak his nudes, then they can't become a celebrity. Which people have tried to do, like that guy from the Wizards of Waverly Place. I think like Jennifer Lawrence's nudes were like stolen off of Snapchat and like spread everywhere, but don't we all still worship Jennifer Lawrence's butt. And I'm looking at the star card here. It sort of looks like Jennifer Lawrence from the X-Men movie when she played Mystique. But the star card, it's like, so whoever's listening to this video, whoever's resonating with this video, you are headed towards 15 minutes of fame. And it could be 15 minutes, it could be 15 days, 15 months, maybe actually 17 because it's a star card. 17 years of fame or something could be coming up in your life. But also this talks about feeling comfortable in the shower, right? So, you know, you might have watched the movie Psycho too much, and you may be afraid to close the curtain when you get in the shower, but it's this thing that I think about with like Tom Segura, where he was saying like, you know, washcloths are for pores, and I was like, are you really that traumatized by whatever poverty that you went through that a tiny towel makes you feel poor? But then I also have this philosophy that white people feel so guilty. I know he's like Spanish or whatever, but I know that, or Peruvian, I feel like white people feel so guilty about either resources, you know, like wasting water or whatever it is, or that, I don't know, like a mob of wronged women or black people are going to attack them in the shower and they can't wash their legs or use a washcloth. And I'm like, what are they doing in there? Just like panicking, washing things with their like washing their body with their hands, like they just came back from a war or whatever. And I'm like, it's okay, you know, if you don't have a washcloth. But I'm like, I think it would be richer or more wealthier to have a washcloth or a loofah or one of those African net sponges or whatever it is. And I think it's so funny and ironic that those come from Africa. But, you know, even if it's somebody else's hands, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't use a washcloth. My wife fucking washes my ass for me, you know? Or my wife or husband or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm cursing. I'm not sorry, actually, but, you know, because I keep doing it. But actually, that's a big part of a message that I was receiving a long time ago, where it was like, stop being like Gary Vaynerchuk, because cursing isn't so great, especially when you're a little tarot reading cartoon. But I'm trying. But that's what I see. So that's what, oh, this is the outro. The outro part. I also seeing the Four of Cups, so you guys better pay attention to me. Okay, so this is my sign off that I'm practicing doing. Okay, what does this say? Thank you for joining me for today's reading. I hope the insights resonate with you and guide you on your path. I usually like to say journey. If you enjoyed this session, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. For more tarot magic, connect with me on Instagram at Tarot with Bay and visit my website, tarotbay.square.site, which is going to be listed in the caption of this video. Until next time, stay blessed and keep shining your light. Right? That's beautiful. I would say maybe something like, stay blessed and slay all your enemies. You work, queen. So thank you for joining me for today's reading. I hope the insights resonate with you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.